Right, you lot, let's talk Villa. So today we are going to be previewing Aston Villa's fourth round of the FA Cup. I honestly can't believe it. Tie against Chelsea, which happens as you are watching this video in a couple of days. Hopefully I can get this video out on Wednesday. I'm filming it on a Tuesday just so you know where we are in terms of like the world. But it was a bit of a last minute filming because I had a bit of time come free in my schedule this evening. So I have just chucked it in, and as you can see on the screen with me is the Twitter. Don't have a poll for today's video because it was literally just like, I can film this today, so I will. But some little kind of breaking news. You can see 34 minutes ago, Napoli are closing in on signing Leander Dendoncker from Aston Villa. It's a loan with an option to buy, so it's not a mandatory buy. It is an option to buy clause in there as well. And he has also accepted the Napoli proposal and waiting to travel. So effectively that one is done. It's being pretty much given the here we go by Fabrizio, and it was first called by David Ornstein as well, who's a very reputable journalist in the Aston Villa / Premier League sphere. So what I wanted to know, I haven't done a poll, but I want a bit of engagement from you guys in the comments down below of this video, on top of obviously previewing our trip to Chelsea. And that is what I tweeted about it. It's an interesting one. Clearly, and this is an opinion that I'll hold till the end about Dendoncker. Seems like an alright geezer, but doesn't have the ability or the potential to warrant a place in our starting 11 and or our bench, to be honest. But do you guys think that we obviously have Tim Aroganum in the reserves / the bench a little bit in the last sort of couple of weeks? Do you think he steps into Dendoncker's role and he'll be starting more in the cup competitions? Or do you think that we have like a sneaky loan or transfer lined up to take over from where Dendoncker left off, and it is not fantastically large boots to fill? So let me know down in the comments. But without further ado, let's get on to looking at Aston Villa versus Chelsea in the fourth round of the FA Cup on Friday the 26th of January. So as you can see by the side of me is what I think will line up against Chelsea. Obviously it's an away game, there's a lot of pressure on us, but Chelsea are playing tonight against Middlesbrough. Check out my last video about Morgan Rogers, because that could be a player that I'll be watching tonight who could be on his way. But just before we get into the starting lineup, which you can see in front of you, let's just talk through sort of ins and outs and what's happening at Villa and why this has impacted what I think we'll line up with. We'll kind of go through it as we go. But first thing to shout out, Jacob Ramsey, I don't think he's going to be ready. So same too with Digne. I don't think those two, according to Emery, are going to be ready for this game. And in terms of Powell, who is obviously in the starting lineup, I just think that he's going to need match sharpness. I haven't heard anything about his injury at the moment, so I don't know if he will be ready or not. But he's clearly going to need match sharpness coming into a big game in the Premier League against Newcastle next week. So I think he'll more than likely be selected, if he is fit, to at least play the first sort of 60-70 minutes of this game to get some minutes under his belt in a real live game scenario. But in goal we have Emi Martinez, because we literally have no one else. Philip Marshall's gone out on loan to MK Dons. Robin Olsen I think is still injured, and we're obviously bidding for other goalkeepers. So clearly Emi is going to start this one, and it is against Chelsea. We want to progress. This is a good chance to knock a big team out of this cup early. Left back Moreno, because we literally have no one else. Like I said, I don't think Digne's ready yet. Centre backs I've gone with Powell and Longley. I think Carlos and Consa need a rest because they've been playing non-stop. Longley's a lone player, so it's just a nice game to include him in and rest some of our other players for the league, which should clearly be our focus. And Powell, because like I said, I think he needs a bit of game time under his belt, really, just to progress and get back to the levels he was prior this injury that he did pick up. And then right back, I have gone with Matty Cash purely again because I think Consa needs a rest. He's played like literally every minute for us that I can think of under the sun, and he's a good option to have on the bench to come on at centre back or right back. Moving on to the midfield, obviously our captain is going to start this game. It is a big FA Cup fourth round game under the lights at Stamford Bridge, so John McGinn slots into that left midfield role. In midfield, with the new news about Dendoncker, I have gone with Tim Aroganum in the middle. He might be the one that Emery wants to step up and take his chance, and what better place to take your chance and also give one of our other midfielders a rest, because obviously we do have that big game against Newcastle that I don't think we can overlook. Next to him I've gone with Louise, just because Aroganum is a bit more of a defensive minded midfielder, so I think Louise just gives a bit more creative freedom to him, and it means we don't have two of like the same player in that position. And then Zaniolo, again, it just makes sense to get your loan boys in at this point of the season to rest legs out on the right, and maybe it's his chance to show us that he's actually a half decent footballer. And he, less said about him the better, because there's some clauses as well I know that Emery might be thinking about. And then up front, I've gone with Bailey to replace Diaby in our starting lineup, purely because Diaby hasn't been doing it for me recently. Perhaps he'd give the start to John Duran with all the stuff going on around him at the moment, but I think he'd probably trust Bailey and Watkins to be the split striker partnership up front to lead us against Chelsea and hopefully lead us into our first fifth round in what feels like forever, because it has been forever. With Chelsea, there are a few things to consider. As you can see next to me is their last starting lineup. So that was against Fulham on the 13th of January. So a little while ago now. What are we talking? What are we on today? 23rd, so 10 days ago. So stuff has changed, obviously, but I don't think their injuries have changed massively. Petrovic in goal, Colwill, Silva, Diassi, Gusto, Fernandez, Caicedo, Gallagher, Sterling, Palmer and Broja up front. So that was their last starting 11 against Fulham, where they did get 1-0 victory. Like I said, that was 10 days ago. They do have Middlesbrough in the Carabao Cup semi-final tonight. The team sheet hasn't been announced for that just yet, but because they do have that game, if we switch up here, you can see their latest injury updates. And Trevor Chalobah, he probably won't be back for the Villa game. Gusto, who obviously did play in that game against Fulham, is apparently undergoing a rehabilitation programme, so I doubt he'll be back in time, so they'll have to switch up their fullbacks. Mark Cucurella, still ongoing injury. Fofana, ongoing injury. Reece James is probably never going to play a full season of football again, it seems like. Lavia still not ready, and Nkunku still not ready. Robert Sanchez still not ready. And then Leslie Ogochukwu still not ready as well. So I think it's probably safe to say that they will have to play a bit of a different team against us, purely because they have that Carabao Cup game tonight. They are going through lots of injuries. One thing that I think is for certain is that Sterling and Palmer will definitely be in that team, and two players that specifically are sort of mid-block midfield, as well as our wing-backs rather, are going to have to look out for, because Cole Palmer has been pretty slick this season, and I'd imagine that Nicholas Jackson will come back into the team as well to lead him up front, and probably go for the pace to get in behind our high line rather than Broja, who's a bit more of like a target forward. But any Chelsea fans watching this video, let me know down below what you think that you're going to be playing. I'll be keeping an eye on the Carabao Cup game tonight, of course, and we'll see when the team sheet gets announced. But I think we can beat Chelsea. We've already done it this season. So let's get on to what I think will happen in the FA Cup. I can't believe it, fourth round. So what do I think is going to happen? When we played Chelsea or earlier in this season, we obviously did come out victors at Stamford Bridge. So we have that sort of mental thing going into it. Injuries, I think Chelsea are probably more affected than us by injuries, and sort of scheduling works better for us as well. We've literally had like a week and a half off. They're literally playing today, and then they're going to have to play in 3 days on Friday as well. So that obviously plays into our favour quite considerably. Squad depth, obviously Chelsea I think do have a deeper squad than us, and they have actually started turning their form around and playing decently in the last few weeks. However, I just think this is such an opportunity for Villa and Emery to lay a marker down, as Aston Villa being a competitor in every competition in England, or that England has to offer at the very, very minimum. So I think I'm going to go with a 2-1 Aston Villa victory at Stamford Bridge. I'm going to go with Watkins and, drumroll, Zaniolo to get the goals. I don't know why I've said that, because I just don't think he has a goal in him at this level. But anyway, and then probably Cole Palmer to get a goal, just because he's been so good this season. But like I say, it is under the lights. For some reason, it's not on TV. I couldn't get tickets for this one. I did manage to get tickets for Newcastle, but not this Chelsea game. There's 6,000 Villa fans in full voice at Stamford Bridge, probably able to drown out Chelsea's support at the moment. And Chelsea have been shaky. If they lose to Middlesbrough today in the Carabao Cup, that's going to be such a mental block for them. They're already 1-0 down on aggregate, so all Middlesbrough need to do really is hold. But I think with that scheduling, the injuries that they have, and the fact that Villa, yes, our form has been pretty woeful of late. I know we're still like 5th in the form table, but we're not playing well. A big victory away from home to get into the 5th round of the FA Cup, that can't be understated at all. And like I say, once we've knocked someone like Chelsea out the cup, it opens up possibly an easier draw going forward as well, and possibly an easier route to the FA Cup final, which is something that I'm sure we'll be targeting again to lay our marker down. I think Emery will really be drilling them like he did with the Middlesbrough game. Granted, we played terribly in that game, but he'll be really drilling them. We'll want to get that win, and I'm confident that we will. Let me know your score predictions and scorers down in the comments below. I will see you guys on, where are we? Probably Tuesday. Actually, no, it'll be Saturday or Sunday for the review of this, and then straight into the preview of Newcastle, because I'll be there in Villa Park for that game. As always, be nice to everyone. Up the Villa.